All right. Hey, what's up? It's your girl Nique, and you're tuned in to Nique at Night. And we are going to be talking about today's events. I know there was a lot of people concerned, and I have a lot to say, like a lot of things to say. And normally, when I'm addressing my audience about things that I've experienced, I just go off the cuff and I just go into stuff off the top of my head and go from there. However, what happened today was so serious that I needed to consult and have a proper statement prepared to talk to you guys about. I am taking this situation extremely seriously. And I want to make some things clear that have been going on inside that courtroom that has drawn a huge concern to every Black person's safety out there that is being totally disregarded. And it's a lot. So, I have a statement that I will be reading. I've never done something like this other than like I put someone on notice. Well, we're past 12 a.m. So I guess technically the other day, but it still feels like yesterday because whatever. So, yes. So like I said, because everything is so serious and I am so serious, I need to make sure that everything that I've been experiencing, everything that I've been feeling is said. So, let me go through some of the things that I want to say. And I had to really, you know, get this together and make sure. So sorry for those of you guys who have been checking. I know it's almost 1 a.m. Y'all, I'm running off fumes, okay? Like I'm running off fumes. So let's get into it. So thank y'all for coming in. Make sure y'all hit the like button. Thank y'all for supporting me, but let's get on into it. So before we dive into the critical legal updates from today's proceedings, I need to make something very clear right out the gate. So, I am safe and I am broadcasting from a very, very, very secure location. Like, trust me. And I am okay. A lot of people wanted to know, like, Nique, are you okay? Like, my phone has been blowing up with people wanting to know if I am okay, and I am. It's like I'm good. So, now that that's out the way, I want to let you guys know that the reason why I'm able to sit here and feel the level of relief that I do is because instead of the court stepping up and realizing an issue and nipping it in the bud before it escalates to this point, the community is what stepped in to protect their own. So, I want to start this broadcast by publicly and deeply thanking the members of the Black Panther Party who were on the ground at Collin County Courthouse today. What happened to me today was another deliberate attack of intimidation, another attack to try to knock me off of my pivot of covering this case, while the true perpetrator hid under the protection of the sheriffs at the Collin County Courthouse. There's been no proof of any threats to this individual. Nobody has done any anyways, let me read my statement because child. So, after leaving the courthouse and walking into the parking lot, I was in the middle of speaking to YouTuber JLR Reacts when I noticed a group of men moving in right behind him. So one man like walks over, and then there's another man who like has this ski mask on his face. And I recognized his ski mask because the woman that I put on notice well, I want to say yesterday because like the day is still running for me, but technically the day before, um, the woman that I put on notice, she had been posting this guy on her page. And I remember seeing his picture because the man who was filming me getting into my car, and then when they parked next to my car, he had posted photos of this man as well. So I was like, oh, okay. That's what this is. So he walks over, this guy that's plastered all over that guy's page and her page, and starts, looking me up and down. And then another guy comes in and they start looking me up and down. And so all of this is while I'm talking to JLR Reacts, and he's trying to ask me like what's going on in the courtroom and stuff. And I was just telling him, like what was going on with the courtroom, plus the intimidation that people are trying to do. So I started talking about that. And while I was talking about that, I see like, I'm like, is the man trying to get like closer in or whatever? Like they just was really doing the most, right? So, basically after that, I passed my phone to my uncle. And I passed my phone to my uncle and I said, hey, record them. Like record everything that's going on. My uncle's on alert. There's two other guys next to me. They're on alert. They see what's going on. And they're like, wait. Like, whoa, these are the people that, like I was just talking to him. He was completely nice to me. Like, but they're staring you, a woman, up and down. And I'm like, yeah, like they ain't saying nothing to y'all, but they coming to try to like flex their muscle to a woman, like the woman who's at the center of it, she needs to send in men instead of her, like, you know what I mean? Like she's a woman, I'm a woman. She sends in men like goons to try to intimidate me, so that she can do this grift of, oh, I'm threatened, my life is in danger, but she's the one sending in like goons that she's posting on her page and stuff like that. And the court, anyways, so let me get back. So that's what was going on. So I said, these grown men were like aggressively like looking at me in a hostile manner. And but like they had no hostility towards the men that were around me. So as I was like noticing this, I was just realizing like the situation for what it was, like everything that we have been going through at this courthouse day in and day out. The fact that she is able to target people and play victim when the proof that she's targeting people is on her page was just through the roof. Plus the sheriffs that are backing this whole thing up, like just crazy. So as I'm just like witnessing all of this, I decided to go to my car for safety. My uncle's car rather, for safety, and get my bag and, sit there. As I'm sitting there, the two men that was also like guarding around me alerted the Black Panther Party and they came and surrounded the car. They were like basically asking me like what I did, and they wanted me to go and continue my work. Like, don't let this stop your work. They were like, no, like we got you, you're good. And so I kind of had like a sigh of relief at that point, and I said, you know what, okay, like they're surrounding the car, I'm good. Like the men, like, like they got me. So I pull up my phone, and that's when I start to like, as I'm like hitting the go live button, like I had already been crying, but I felt like I could kind of, get it together. Like, get it together, honey. Get it together. So like, I had previously been crying, but then as I'm going live, I'm just overwhelmed with like the reality of the fact that the community is doing the job that the sheriffs should be doing. And the sheriffs are protecting the woman that is on her platform, boldly targeting people it was just like the reality of this situation was astonishing. Like, it was crazy that the community of Black Panthers, whom I had never met before, coming to cover this court, like covering to cover this court case, these individuals just made sure that a fellow Black journalist and other women out there were good. And I appreciate you guys so much. You don't even know. So, basically, the system, like, they failed. Like, they had no regard for our safety, like, for real, for real. And the Black Panther Party was like very vigilant in recognizing the threat to my life, where I'm out of the car and they're like, listen, calm down, sister. We got you. Like, calm down. We got you. You good. Like, giving me words of encouragement. And they said for me to go back where I was originally doing my work, and they got me. So I go over to do my work, and like when I step back where I were, like in the area, then here come the men again. So like as I'm going live, like the men are like coming like back like in front of us. And then so like I'm trying to do my live, and then I noticed like they're like positioning themselves. Like, y'all couldn't see all of them on my camera because my camera was only facing like the two that was like, or the three that was like in back of me, but they were forming like a wall of protection like around me, like in the front, like literally like a semicircle. And then as the guys started to inch closer, you can literally see on my video where like I'm looking at them like, okay, like, and they're like, sister, we got you, like, do your work, like, you good, like, go ahead, like, and then I'm looking at the guy, and one guy over there, like, I see him like pull out his phone and he takes my picture. And then on my live, that's when I'm like, hey, like, he took my picture. And then y'all heard the guy say, it's 1,000 people taking your picture right now, like, and then they were just like telling me like, just do your job, like do your work or whatever. And then so I'm looking at my notes trying to find where I was, and I can see like in my, how like I'm just like looking at my peripheral, and I just feel them like tightening up around me, and I'm like, whoa, like the guys started to try to like, like I don't know what they were trying to do, but they were just like whichever way, like making sure that I was like protected. And I don't know, I can't thank them enough for that. And just like the encouragement of like knowing that they had me when the sheriff made it clear that they didn't, and everything, that just meant a lot. So regarding the Karmelo Anthony trial, the state rested its case, the defense rested their case, and tomorrow the jury's going to do closing arguments. But we're not going to pretend like today isn't and wasn't heavy. After facing the intimidation, my heart didn't just break because I was personally overwhelmed. My heart broke for Karmelo Anthony's family, for the justice system that has been engineered for decades to keep us at a systematic disadvantage. I know so many of you are concerned for my well-being, and I love you for it, but this is bigger than me, guys. Like, sitting in that courtroom, listening to the testimony, listening to the things that all of these boys are saying, all of the conflicting statements, me not really feeling confident in the I don't know what the strategy is that the defense presented, but I just didn't feel like it was enough. Like, to rest at that moment where every single witness said that Carmelo Anthony was in the wrong. Not even the defense witnesses. Like, the defense witnesses didn't even say, like, well, he's in the right to defend himself. Like, no, like, I feel like he can defend himself. Or the defense didn't bring it back around to a question where frames him being in the right. Or, you know what I mean? Like, it always ended with, well, he's wrong and he provoked them. In my mind, he didn't provoke a damn thing, because how can you provoke big brawly bullies that are surrounding you, and everybody's like taunting you? You're sitting down, you never stand up. The person that goes in front of you and stands up and tries to yoke you up, you're provoking them by sitting down. That's crazy to me. And every single witness, even the defense witnesses, it left on that pocket. We didn't hear why he had the knife. We didn't hear like from an expert. I was expecting for a trial that has this much attention, this much racial tones to it, the blatant targeting that not only is happening outside of the court but inside of the courtroom with the people that are in the room, and like the culture of bullying and in the essence of all of those things. I'm like, there isn't going to be a legal expert that explains like the psychology of a teenage boy, or there isn't going to be like a legal expert that is familiar with bullying, or some expert that can lend testimony to how a 17-year-old boy may be feeling if 5 boys are taunting them, and how it's not just easy as, because a lot of people feel as though, hey, you're just supposed to just walk away, and just if a kid tells you you're supposed to like leave and they're just coming at you disrespectfully, you're supposed to take the high road and just go away. But that's not reality, right? Like, and I felt like there was a missed opportunity today with the defense when the witness came up and they were talking about going to this baseball dugout, and the prosecution was like, yeah, so when you went to the dugout, right? Like, they asked you to leave, the coach asked you to leave, and you left. And the witness was like, yeah, we left. And I'm looking over when they passed to the defense, because I'm thinking, like, now ask him, is there a difference from a coach giving you a command to leave and your peer that's a student giving you a command to leave? You know what I mean? Like, all of this that was these tones of like, oh, he didn't listen. He didn't just listen. He didn't just leave. Never did I hear in the testimony that there's a difference between a coach and an authoritative figure telling you to leave and somebody that's your same age that has no ground to tell you a damn thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and we didn't get that. And I don't know that the jury, like, I wouldn't trust my life on those jurors. Not to say that they can't get it right, but what's right? I don't even know. Like, I wouldn't trust, like, looking at them, I wouldn't trust my life in their hands. I don't trust this case. I don't trust the system. I don't trust the sheriffs. I don't trust that entire building. Like, everything is sus. Like, everything is sus. I've never witnessed a case where, and a lot of times I'll stay neutral or I won't really give my opinion much. And then people are like, what do you think? What do you think? And it's like, you know, I've never been so baffled. Like, when we got in there and they were like, we waited for 2 hours. So I'm thinking like maybe they doing a plea deal, or maybe, you know, something happened. It's going to be a mistrial or something, and they're like, the defense rests, the state rests. And I'm like, no legal experts? No, like, like whenever there's a case that deals with gangs, right? They have like a gang expert. Where's the bully expert? Or where's the self-defense expert? Or like I don't know. Like, I don't know. So that was confusing to me. So just like in the situation with me happened before the realization that they had rested, but just the buildup of everything that has been going on behind the scenes. Law and crime reporter posted about how during the testimony of one of the students, the father of Austin was like nodding his head and like trying to get the boy to the boy would say, the question was something along the lines of, weren't like Austin and Hunter both big, or big guys? And then Queen Sheba and the law and crime guy both noticed the victim's father shaking his head, and then the guy looking and changing his answer. And Queen Sheba reported about, well, no, actually, when that happened, I didn't see it from my own eyes, right? Like, I try not to like stare at them, because some of them make it very clear that they are with the girl that's been targeting us. Like, every single morning when we get there, the officers ask like if we want to go to the bathroom, and I'm like, are they having like their group meet huddles in the bathroom? Because like, some of them always end up like going together, and then they're always waving to her in the line. And today, when we went after the 2:00 break, a woman that comes in with the family, it was her, the mom's boyfriend, and then the mom, right? She was sitting directly in front of me, and then she was looking, and she was like, oh, did Miss make it in the courtroom? The woman that I put on notice, she was asking like, oh, did she make it in the courtroom? And I'm just looking at the dynamics of all of this, like not feeling like the case is really given what it's supposed to give. And then looking at how the Karmelo Anthony family is supposed to have a gag order, and looking at how the Metcalfs are supposed to have a gag order, but they're always speaking to the main woman that literally has a lawsuit against Karmelo Anthony's father. It's just crazy. Like, the whole loop of mess is just crazy. And coming there day in and day out, not really getting any sleep, them not really giving a fuck about our safety for real, but giving the actual person who has no proof of these threats, or at least I didn't see any proof, like this type of treatment. And then you can even feel the energy from the officers. Like, it just was a lot. So it was highly emotional, to say the least. Now, her goons don't just come in the form of men outside. She also has a mob of goons that have been flooding my Facebook as well. All of her supporters flood my Facebook. They, say all kinds of crazy things. I think it was like the other day, like I got a personal message in my inbox that called me a nigger bitch. I don't think I've ever been called a nigger bitch in my life, but that was interesting. And let me finish going back to my statement, because I've deviated from it. So, anyways, so, just dealing with everything that was going on, like my heart broke for everything overall. And my thing is, if Karmelo Anthony is guilty, let the system be fair. Like, let the stacks be fair. Like, all of this just seems, I don't know, crazy. So, my heart was just broken today, like literally broken, like broken from the weight of everything. Like, not from the girl specifically, because she needs other people, like she needs men to go after women instead of her being a woman standing for herself. She has to like get people to do it, like not her specifically, just the climate of everything, like how it is and how she's able to get away with it and how it's just a lot. Like I'm used to like when girls, I have a disagreement with a girl, like it's me versus her. Like I'm not used to people who can't like carry out their own problems. They need to orchestrate, fabricate, and target you and try to like get other people to target you. Like this is like a new arena, right? Like anytime I've had a disagreement with me and a YouTuber or another influencer, it's always like me and them, especially if it's a woman, right? Like I'm a woman, and if they're a woman, like, like we can have dialogue, but this situation is different. And it's like, I'm not up against just me and a woman. I'm up against a woman versus a campaign that started well before I ever got here. So, all of that today was just crazy. So, what we are witnessing outside this Texas courthouse isn't news coverage, it's a coordinated campaign of racial profiling and financial targeting. Let's look at the facts here, right? This is an individual with an active, ongoing lawsuit against the defendant's father, Drew Anthony. This woman that's now targeting me, announced back in, I want to say January, that she was suing Karmelo Anthony's father, right? A woman that's suing his father is allowed to come in the court, confer with the victim's family, and put out a targeted attack on anybody covering the case, and use these attacks to flip the narrative to claim like she's the victim so that she can pour in donations, right? That's what it looks like to me from what I'm experiencing. It seems like, because I don't know her, right? Like outside of this case, I don't know this woman. I'm not from Texas. I didn't cover Karmelo Anthony's story before I decided to start coming to cover the trial in person. But the fact that everybody gets targeted, it's like a pattern, right? So, so like I believe that her presence is a major conflict of interest. And because of that, there has been days of doxing people who have like, I understand that the guy who says that he saw the video or whatever has a record, but it's just like, doxing him and, like putting me on her page, putting Sheba on the page, trying to act like Sheba's reporting is my reporting, trying to discredit our credibilities, trying to stop both of our bags by telling her audience that we are not credible, so that then people who are looking for coverage of the case can no longer want to seek out our truthful, accurate reporting and rather go to a one-sided narrative for a campaign, So, they use a lazy, predictable formula. If you have Black skin, you're automatically labeled a Karmelo Anthony supporter. They don't look at our credentials. They don't look at the fact that I don't even know if she's ever covered cases before, but supposedly she's like the authoritative voice over a court case. They don't look at the fact that, girl, we've been doing this. And it shows in our delivery, like whenever I cover a live or Sheba covers a live, like it commands your attention, right? Like we're able to describe what's going on. We're able to like give you the story. When you look at the other commentary, it's like bland. It's like it's not giving. So I understand that there's like, dang, there's these two Black women and they are actually doing really well explaining the evidence. Let's discredit them to stop their money so that, we can do this loop. So they don't look at the fact that we've been covering cases. They look at our race and they use that to run a smear campaign, decide to cut off our income and fund their own crowdfunding grift. Last week, this individual started with anonymous labels. Then they moved to posting my actual image via videos being retweeted, etc. And when I responded to myself being posted and said what was really going on, it just escalated from there. When that wasn't enough, they took a video of another independent journalist, Queen Sheba, who I stand in the line with every day, and blended it with screenshots from my platform to the audience, to her audience, trying to say that Sheba's reporting was me. Like, oh, all she does is lie, right? And then she's showing Sheba's video, but then she's posting my screenshot to kind of like make it seem like Sheba's reporting is me, because she knows that her group doesn't like us so much, so they won't even use critical thinking skills that I'm a different person than Sheba, right? She banks on that. So, me and Sheba, although our hairstyle is similar, we're in two different age brackets. We look different. We sound different. We are completely two entirely different individuals. And it was just like a purposeful smear campaign to try to knock out both of the powerful voices like covering this case. And that's deliberate and not okay. The heartbreak wasn't just from that. It was from, the institutional bias. There's been many reporters that have filed complaints, yet the courthouse leadership chooses to escort and accommodate that side as a victim while ignoring our physical safety. Before I got to Texas, I wrote an official email to the court's administration before I even packed a bag for Texas, explicitly asking how they would secure our safety in the public lines, and they did nothing. Like they did not do a good job at anything. Like the first sign of them actually like doing an okay job was today, but other than that. So the double standard is loud. Also, what I found ironic, in the public information officer, he has not been a mean guy to me, but I just feel like he has a direct line to the judge. And I don't know if it was either maybe Saturday when we were in court, either Saturday or maybe Friday. The PIO's phone was going off, right? Like we were in the middle of court. His phone had went off. And all of the court, the court is like run like a tight ship. So his court went off and I'm like, what's going on with your phone? People were like poking fun. And he said that it was Twitter. Like, oh, dang, I had went on Twitter. And he had gone on Twitter because he was trying to see what people were saying about the case. And I found that interesting because the individual that's targeting everybody in the courtroom, all of their behavior is on Twitter, right? But they're able to like do that and still like access the court, and they're able to be connected to the Metcalf family and be in an active lawsuit against the defendant's father. Like, if that's not a big conflict of interest, I don't know what is. But the fact that this individual is able to do this while seeking out goons, while our safety is not being taken serious, while this whole entire thing just feels icky. Like, I just don't feel good about this, like, at all. It's just crazy. So the fact that there's a gag order and they're doing all this is crazy. Also, the fact that, like, again, I did not see Jeff Metcalf nodding when the guy was on the stand, but I remember that day like it was yesterday, right? So we were in the court and the guy was testifying about whether or not Hunter and Austin were the same size. I think they asked, like, well, the like, they're the same size, right? And according to Sheba and the guy from Law and Crime, he was kind of like shaking his head while the guy was talking, and then he was like changing hands, like, oh no, they're not the same size, like, no, Hunter's smaller, and like that. I remember when we were leaving the court, I had talked to Sheba, and she told me, she was like, the dad was just coaching the witness or whatever. And I was like, what? For real? And so we walked over, and never mind. Anyways, it was noted, but I didn't see nothing done about it. Okay, that was crazy. And then later, I seen that it was reported on Law and Crime. Now, Sheba and the guy from Law and Crime, they never talk. Like, they don't know each other. So the fact that Sheba told me it right after walking out of the courtroom that day, and then later the Law and Crime guy reported it on like that fact, and nothing was done about it. I was like, that's crazy. Anyways, so outside of that, oh, and actually let me show you guys the clip. And somebody said, doesn't that contrast the evidence? I don't know. I don't know what his purpose was and why it was and what it was. You know what I mean? I just know that that's what they reported to have happened. Let me pull it back. Okay. Hold on. I don't know the timestamp of when Sheba says it. If you guys have the timestamp for when she says it, we can watch hers too. But this one, I got the timestamp.
We're talking about Austin. Austin was 6'1", 213, according to the medical examiner. And his brother Hunter, defense attorney, was throwing out. Obviously asking questions I haven't done, witness preparation with. But anyway, they start talking. They're walking through the events. It takes them about 20 to 30 minutes to walk through the lead ups to everything and what this kid saw. And we heard this for the first time today. He said, Karmelo, the whole thing with the hand in the bag and touch me and see what happens. He said that Austin Metcalf tapped Karmelo on the shoulder, like as an annoyance, like, oh yeah, touch me and see what happens. And then he says something that we haven't heard yet. He said, Karmelo said, okay, well, hit me and see what happens, or punch me and see what happens, which we haven't heard that testimony from any student so far. So I'm just wondering, why it was just now said here. We've had over 10 of these student witnesses, and it was just said now during this witness. And then, as he was testifying, he was kind of disagreeing with some of the things that the defense attorney was throwing out. Obviously asking questions to kind of fit the narrative of the defense here with the self-defense claim. And one of their, narratives that they're throwing out is that, these Metcalf boys were some big boys, 6'1", 6'2", linebackers, over 200 pounds. And they started talking about the size comparison thing again, starting to go down that rabbit hole. And they were talking about Austin. Austin was 6'1", 213, according to the medical examiner. And his brother Hunter, the defense is like, well, Hunter was similar in size, trying to make them out to be, the big bullies and all. That's the narrative they're going down. And as the defense attorney is asking this, I can see Jeff Metcalf, the father, just shaking his head like these boys are not the same size. And the young man on the stand said, I wouldn't say that. And he actually said that Austin was substantially bigger than Hunter, which is very interesting. I mean, you're going down this narrative, and then you have a witness on the stand that's supposed to be in support of your narrative, and he's negating things that you're saying. I don't know how that looks in front of a jury. I imagine it's kind of damaging, maybe not extremely damaging, but it can't be, positive.
All right. So he didn't outright say that he was coaching, but that's what Sheba said on hers. I have to find her timestamp, but she was like, "Ooh, he looked like he was coaching the witness." Now, again, this isn't something that I witnessed. I was in the courtroom that day. I was in the courtroom, but he was further to the left of me. And normally I sit in the same spot every time I'm in the court. Like, I like to sit where I'm in a seat that I can see like a direct line of sight to the witness, because I always like to see like how they're delivering it, what they're doing. And in this same seat where I can see the witness, I have a good vantage point of the jurors to be able to read what they're doing. So every time I'm in the courtroom, I try to sit in the same seat. And the seat that I was sitting in, it's like farther away, like from the dad. The guy from Law and Crime, he sits on the back row, and he sits closer to like where the dad would be, like right in front. And I think that day Sheba was like in the front. So she said she kept, like, when we came out of the court, Sheba was like, I don't know, like something was weird. She was like, I kept seeing the boy look over somewhere. And so I like followed his eyes, because at first she said she thought he was looking at the jury, but then she felt like he kind of looked over the jury. And she was like that's when she like looked back to see who he was looking at, and then that's when she caught it. Again, I didn't see it, but immediately when we came out of court that day, she said it. And she said it. Anyways, I don't know if she want to reveal anything else, any steps else, but whatever. So nothing was done about that. So yeah, so I found that interesting. And I found the fact that, that was happening in the case. The fact that I like when I was okay, so when I saw that like I was being recorded walking to my car, and then they parked next to my car, I came in and I told these officers about what happened. And I was like, "Hey, like, I don't know, this is kind of weird. Like, this was going on, blah, 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 blah." And the very next day, there's this sheriff that kind of cozies to the woman that I've been having this situation with. And we're in line in the morning, and we're about to, this is like the very next day after I had like that situation happen. And we're in line in the morning, and she's like 3 or 4 people behind me in line. So he can literally, instead of walking like or standing like where I am, he can literally walk to her and speak to her, but he kind of like positions himself where I am, like to like where like and then like talks like, to her. And then he's like, "I talked to your boy, he's good." Now, mind you, the day before, I complained about her boy, like, filming us and stuff. And so I'm like, that's interesting, So, everything about this just seems compromised. Okay? Everything about it seems compromised. So that is why I made sure to go to a very, very safe location. And I just, again, like, I don't know, like when I think about the case, I think about the agitators outside of the case. I think about how, like, like the testimony just didn't, I don't know if the defense just didn't expect what the kids were gonna say or what. I don't know. Something is just weird. And today we were all waiting for like 2 hours to go in. Like we went to lunch at 11. They told us to come back at 12:30. And then when we were supposed to be back at 12:30, then we waited until almost like 2. And then when we waited till like 2, we go in and everybody's getting in. And as we're coming in, I noticed the woman that's sitting right in front of me. She's like, "Oh, did Whoop-de-Whoop come in? Like, did she make it in?" And I'm like, that's interesting. And then the state rests, this rests. And then I'm like, no legal experts, no nothing, like, no, like what? Like, huh? Everything just seems compromised. My gut feeling is not, I don't know, like, and whether people want to believe me or not, like, I really came into this case trying to be neutral. The first day that I did coverage, I told you guys, like, I'm like, oh, the prosecution, he's charming. He has a likable personality, blah, 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 blah. And, like, I wanted to give you guys the facts, and I've done that. However, it's hard to ignore all of the moving parts and how it's allowed to be happening the way that it's happening. Like, it's just like, what? And so when they decided to say, like, everything rest, like the case rest, and then we're excused, everybody was just looking at each other like, wait, what? Because the defense witnesses, like, did they even help at all? All of them said that he was in the wrong. None of them got like a question. You know what I mean? Like, none of them got a question to be like, hey, like, do you think that this is self-defense? Or like every time, like, they would punch with the Karmelo provoked, right? He's the agitator, right? And I think that narrative is bullshit. I don't think that he provoked anything. I think that a provoker is somebody that if somebody say, you better leave from this tent, and then they get up and then he's in his face and he's in his face and they're both standing up, that's provoking. You know what I mean? Like what happened to me today, right? Where people are like trying to like flex their muscle, and like that's provoking, not somebody that's minding their goddamn business. And then you are the ones like coming at them, like you said something to them first, you put hands on them first, you got all of these other boys laughing, oh, you ain't got nothing in your bag, or you you know what I mean? But he's the provoker. I feel like we needed something, don't you think that it's right to defend yourself? I don't know what kind of question he could have phrased, but he did a better job. I could say today, like, he did a better job at like not letting the defense just leave off with his, Karmelo provoked him, right? That like he was nipping that in the bud before the guy did it. But I was just like, we needed that earlier on. Like, they were going back and forth, like, oh, you would think that the defense, he's done with questioning. Then it goes to cross, and then it goes to recross, and then they go back, and then they, they were kind of like back, like trying to make sure the record is correct. I'm just like, we needed that all last week. We needed that to be like when he kept every single witness. Karmelo provoked, right? Right? He's in the wrong, right? Like, we needed a series of questions like, how can we reframe this as, well, that you can defend yourself for self-defense, right? Or, like, just the same way that he says, like, it's not illegal to have a blade under 5.5 inches. I'm like, what's our self-defense question that we can throw in there back at him? Like, like he throwing that they provoked them, but Like, where's our question where it's like, how can you provoke somebody if you're sitting down? Like, or have you ever heard of a such, like a person provoking and they're the one that's hit first? Or, you know what I mean? I don't know. Is it because the victim is underage? I don't know, but something is missing here. Like, it's like, you know, and I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know like how he was able, like, you know what I mean? I don't know legally what he can do to ping pong it back, but I don't know. Someone asked a question and they said, hold on, let's see. It says, Nique, did the judge tell the jury a decision is due by Wednesday or they'll be going to a hotel and he will be removing the TVs and their phones? So what he said was that they're going to get the case tomorrow, which is Tuesday. Well, it's Tuesday technically now. But so what he said is when they report to court in the morning, they need to come with an overnight bag. So he made a joke to the women and he was basically like, I'm gonna just say this directly to the women. You pack one bag. You know, like he was like, I know how women are. Make sure you pack one bag. And then the women are all laughing and stuff like that. And he tells them that they're going to be sequestered and they're not going to be able to contact, like they're not going to have their phones. And there's only going to be like one emergency contact number to like call in the event that there's an emergency, but they're not going to be able to just be, you know, calling. But basically, he's going to read the law. I didn't even know closing arguments was going to happen tomorrow because until I saw the other networks were saying it, because he didn't even mention closing arguments. He was just like, all right, the cases are done. I'm going to read you guys the law. And then you're going to start deliberation. Once you start deliberation, then when you're done for the day, you'll be sequestered. You go to the hotel. We'll take the TVs out. You won't have access to social media, blah, 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 blah. And he was kind of insinuating like, so y'all better get it. Y'all better get this verdict. Like, he didn't say y'all better get this verdict in, but the way that he like pack one bag and I don't know, it just feels like, I don't know. I don't think that it's going to take 2 days or multiple days, but I don't know where they stand. You know, like you have young boys that look like they can relate to the Metcalfs, and then you have white women that look like they could be a part of the Metcalf family and visibly always looking sad and when they doing certain stuff. And then you got a man who anytime the defense says something, like he kind of giving like he ain't really feeling him. And I don't know, then there's like it's like these Indian women. I really don't know where they stand. I can't really get a read on where they stand. I don't know. I don't know. Like, I have no idea. They have a tough job to do. And then on top of that, I just feel like them going in and out the courthouse every single day and watching these people like, you know, protest. I don't know. It's just like, I think that, of course, they have to go by the law, right? They have to go by what the law says. But being a human, you also take into account, like, what if I do this verdict? What if I do that verdict? What, you know what I mean? Like, what if it leans this way and then the outcome be this? Or what if it starts a race war? Or, you know what I mean? Like, there's so much racism and racist surrounding the case. What if they're thinking about that? Like, what if the campaign of people, like Black people being targeted, backfires and they're like, well, you know, if we go this way, then, you know what I mean, like they'll be targeted more. Or, you know, I don't know, like what if some of these smear campaigns that people think that they're helping with like backfire? I don't know. So it's just so many nuances. They have families that already had opinions before they even got on the jury. There was several of them, like majority of them knew about the case and knew certain things about the case. And then if they knew about the case, family members know about the case. They're not supposed to talk to anybody about the case or look up anything, but sometimes you could just be on your phone and something will accidentally go by your screen. Like if you have one topic that goes down Facebook, you click on it one time, then similar posts are going to filter in, like the way the algorithm is. So I really don't know. It's sad overall, but I just wanted to mainly tell you guys that I was safe. There, that was the main thing. There was so many of you guys who reached out to me. There was so many people who called. I appreciate all of you guys so much. Um, definitely be on the lookout for the rest of my coverage in this case. Now, I'm gonna try and I'm gonna still give y'all like the updates of the rest of what happened today and yesterday. Y'all let me know. But if you guys want to support the channel, NiqueAtNiteMedia is my Cash App. If there's anybody who wants to come up and speak about the case, then let me know. Do not bring up pigeon feet or whatever, or pigeon toe, or whoever the hell. Don't bring up pigeon toe. We're just gonna talk about the case at this point in time. We're also not gonna, you know what? Speaking of, like, or not speaking of, I'm just proud of y'all for being respectful, right? Like, I see a lot of y'all who have been keeping your couth, keeping your calm, keeping your composure when these racists have come in the chat. Like, you guys have been leading by example and not letting them get to y'all. Now, me, it wasn't her, because again, she's not relevant in my life to care about her. It's just the fact that she can't stand on her own as a woman, and she needs to implore, like, like, get these figures to do her dirty work. It's just the fact of like you see a system that has been stacked against us for years and continuing to be stacked against us for years. Let's talk about the case. Latasha Parker, hey, how are you?
Hey,
What are
Nee.
your thoughts?
It was when I seen you crying today, it really, I went live and I was so proud of you for just being there, telling our people to support our sisters while they there, because we've been getting this weird feeling from each content creator that's been down there. We've been hearing how weird the feeling is, like things are off, something's not right. And the more y'all say it, it just puts an empty feeling in my stomach for Karmelo. Not